matched up that flat blue theme, and I'm pretty happy with the results here. So what I did was I added in the list in the bottom right so you could see which list you were in as that was in the original design, and then I added a couple of animations onto it just to kind of give it a little more oomph. And so just to give you a little background about how Big Blue works here, the whole idea behind Big Blue is that you can have arbitrary list of arbitrary items. So we don't care whether something is a game in MAME or if something is a PC game. We don't give a crap. We just group things however we want to arbitrarily. And so in this case, you can see how I've structured everything based on genres, by the type of games, because I don't care about the program. Like, for example, if I go into platformers and I go into scrolling platformers, I have a Genesis game and I have a Saturn game and I have Bonk's Adventure, and all of these things can run in different emulators. I don't care how they run. I only care about the games. And so really that's the big emphasis with Big Blue: arbitrary listing of information. And even more than that, you'll notice that I don't even care if it's a game necessarily. In my home list here, games is one of my categories, but I also have TV shows, for example. So I can go into TV shows, I can go into Star Trek, and I can just select a Star Trek episode to launch in VLC. Big Blue doesn't care if it is a game, if it's a specific emulator. It can launch any program, and you can configure your list easily to add any programs arbitrarily. So that is kind of the philosophy behind this front end. Is that we want to get away from worrying about specific emulators, specific programs. We don't want to group stuff by that, or even systems. I don't care about Genesis or Super Nintendo. I just care about grouping things in a way that makes sense by the type of game it is. So you can group all the things like that, and what I've shown you so far is just like a pre-configured list where I'm saying these are the X number of items that I want in a Star Trek The Next Generation list. But in this Larry Sanders show, there's another option in Big Blue where you can basically just tell it, I want to look at a folder on my hard drive. So here you'll notice that we're actually in D drive, Larry Sanders folder, and there's a subfolder in here that's season 1. And then if I go in there, I'll see the specific episodes. And so the way you can set Big Blue up is you can just say, I want to point this list at my D Larry Sanders folder. And I have a template for this list, and it basically says for any files in this folder, launch it with VLC. And so if I launch it here, then it's going to open up VLC. It's going to play the Larry Sanders episode. So like I said, I don't care if it's a game. I don't care what kind of program it is. I can launch anything. And so, for at home here, I use this as my media center. I mean, I use it for everything. I just have it. I have a computer connected to a TV. I can play movies. I can play games all through a single interface. I don't screw with multiple programs. That's the idea behind Big Blue. Boring. And so, just to give you an idea here. So, for example, like if I go into, just to show you the nested list, I go into fighters. Within fighters, I beat 'em ups. Then I can go through my beat 'em ups. Do all that. Boring. But then I can look at versus games. And then within versus games, I can have another folder and say, okay, I just want Darkstalkers games. So here's Darkstalkers games. Boring. Or like King of Fighters. I only want King of Fighters games. So here's all the King of Fighters games. Boring. And so and then and even like PC games. I can go into shooters. I can go into first-person shooters, and then here's Doom. See, like I don't care if it is an emulator or a PC game or whatever. It doesn't matter. It can launch anything arbitrarily. It doesn't care. Boring. Yeah, and so you have all these nested lists and everything. You might think, okay, well, geez, how do I get around? How do I navigate through all of these deeply nested lists? And so Big Blue actually has support for finding items by speaking into a microphone. So this is an example here. Street Fighter 2. So, and this finds, you know, all the unique items, you know, the match. So I could say Street Fighter 3. Puzzle Bobble. Oh, Puzzle Bobble. Yeah, see, so, and then in this case I got all these puzzle games. Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown 2. Street Fighter Alpha 3. So you see that, you know, like, and so in my arcade cabinet, I actually have a microphone mounted in there. And so, I mean, it's 2016. I'm done with wiggling a joystick and farting around trying to find stuff. Screw it, you know, I just push a button and I tell it which game I want to play, basically. So, I mean, that's really kind of the future. I mean, all these other interfaces, when you think about it, they're actually kind of primitive. I mean, you know, adjusting knobs, moving joysticks through all these things. I mean, you know, that's cool, I guess, but, I mean, give me a break, you know. Tekken. I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, the voice recognition thing, you know, it's never going to be, well, maybe not never, but it's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty darn close where, I mean, I can find pretty much anything I want. Rampage. Yeah, so, Death Smiles. Pro Gear. No! Yeah, so that's what happens if it doesn't find anything. Pro Gear. Okay, there we go. So, that's kind of a little primer on Big Blue, you know, what you can do there. And you'll notice, too, that I'm in search results because I search for something by talking into the microphone. But it knows its structure. So if I go back from where I am, notice that it put me in the shoot 'em ups list, and I'm looking at the horizontal list because that's where Pro Gear lives. It lives in this list. Boring. So no matter where I am, it's aware of where I am in the structure, and so you know, like viewpoint. So viewpoint is in my favorites list. So if I go back, you know, I'm in favorites. So yeah, it's you know, it's pretty nice. I'm pretty proud of it. I've put a lot of work into this program over the past couple of years, and so I'll be putting out you know, this version of it where you can theme it and do all this stuff, and I'll be doing some tutorial videos to show you how to make these themes. It's actually really easy to make these themes. I mean, like I said, I threw together the initial version of this one in like 15 minutes, you know, before I left for work, and you know, it really doesn't take very long at all.